Okay, so in this video we're making our 6932, McCall's 6932 unisex shirt. We're going to do steps 14 through 17, so have your pattern instructions. You should have already pretty much made something that kind of looks like a shirt. It should kind of look like this. And you'll need your collar piece. So we're making the collar. You should, for your collar piece, should have already put the interfacing onto one of your collar pieces. You should have two. One should have no collar piece. Other one should have interfacing. And it should be marked. So let's get started. So on your instructions, step number 14 has you stay stitch the edge. So stay stitching around the neck edge helps the shirt from getting stretched out before we attach that collar. So all you're going to do is you're going to stitch around that neck edge, and so you're going to do that at 1/2 inch all the way around. So first things first, let's do that. Alright, so I added that stay stitching around the neck edge. That's going to help when you are attaching your collar in a step coming up. And but until then, we just are going to put our shirt to the side. So here we need our collar piece. So our collar is number 6. You should have already marked it. We are going to put our right sides together and we're going to pin. So the part that we're sewing is going to be the part that doesn't have the notches. So we're going to do the short edges and this long edge, and it's going to be the one that doesn't have the notches. So leave this one unpinned. So it kind of gets difficult if your interfacing has drifted. So I'm going to trim that down. Okay, so I'm going to pin. There is a trick where if you trim your under collar just slightly 1/8 of an inch shorter than your upper collar, it pulls the upper collar to the back side, and this will help roll towards the under collar. So if you want to do that before you sew it, I think that it's a great idea. So do that before you do this next step. It just kind of pulls your fabric has just enough stretch that you can pull it. So but I'm gonna just continue to pin this together. And then once I have it pinned, I'm going to sew at 5/8 of an inch all the way on the long side and those short sides, and I'm going to leave that notched side open. So as soon as I have this done, as soon as I have this pinned, I will start sewing. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to stitch here along this long edge and here. I'm going to leave this side, because it has my notches, I'm going to leave this side open. So I have sewn, it's hard to see, but I've sewn here and here and here. So what I'm going to do before I turn it to the right side, I am going to, at an angle, cut these corners. And then I'm going to show you, I know that not everyone has one of these, but I'm going to show you this little tool. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to press these little seams open on my collar. because it gives you a nice collar. So I'm going to press these seams open. So you have to kind of work your way around the collar, because you can't, depending on the size of your collar. So I'm going to work this end, and then I'm going to turn it around, and I'll work this end. And then I have to work these short ends. So I'm just opening up that seam from the inside. I'm not trimming the seam down. I don't want to, I'm opening it up, and it's going to get me a nicer looking collar. Then I am doing this other short end. I'm off the camera here. Doing this other short end. So on one end of this little wood, this is just a wooden block, tailor's block. And one end it's square, and at this other end it's pointy. So at the corner of this collar, I'm using the pointy end to work my point of my collar. So now I'm going to turn this collar right side out. I'm going to poke out the collar point and the other collar point. And then I'm going to put this back on my little tailor press, and I'm going to press those seams open from the right side. May seem like a lot of work, but it gets you good results. Okay, so in case you didn't read in your instructions or you don't remember from the previous video, that your interface side is your upper collar, and your uninterfaced side is your under collar, the part that goes down. So okay, so now I'm all my seams are all pressed open, nice and open. So I can put that to the side. I'm going to press it flat so that I want my interface side up when I press this. And it should give me a really nice edge, the technique that I just did. If you don't have a tailor press like that, one, you can get them, you find them, I've got like 3 of them, because every time I find them at the thrift shop, I buy them. They show up at the thrift shop all the time, and they're super cheap, and you find, because people don't know what they are. So I pick them up, then I give them away to people who need them. They need homes. And there you go, see? Makes such a nice collar. So now I'm going to make sure that those raw edges are even, and I think I might just base those even before I go on to my next step. But I'm just going to, it's all nice and pressed. Nice, nice, nice. The other thing that you can use a tailor's press for is that you put a little steam in your, whatever you're pressing, and you take your tailor's press and you hold it down while that cools, and you get a crisper pressed, it really makes that edge pressed down nice and sharp. So if you have kind of an edge on something that you're sewing that doesn't want to condense down, that tailor's press, the wood and the pressure really will condense your whatever you're sewing down. Okay, so I'm gonna press that down, then I'm gonna go and get my shirt, my shirt top that we were working on, and we're gonna sew our collar to our shirt. Okay, so I basted those edges together. So my collar is all ready to go onto my shirt top. So I'm looking at the side that's facing me is my interfacing side is up, because that's my shirt top. And what I'm gonna do is, if you look at this, my circle markings match the edge of my collar edge matches. Now I'm gonna transfer these little triangles. Those are going to match a part of my shirt when I'm trying to know where to place these. So I'm gonna just transfer some chalk lines because that's gonna help me. And the other thing that I'm gonna mark, because it's gonna help me with placement, is my center back line. That's gonna help me. I'm just gonna put that on there. So there we go. So I've put those, and I'm gonna put my pattern piece aside. And then I'm gonna get my shirt. So I want to match my, it's gonna go, here's my, I'm looking at the right side of my shirt. Here's my collar. I know everything's the same fabric, so it's a little difficult to tell what I'm looking at. Okay, I wanna match my notches. I'm gonna put my pin in my notch. Remember, interfacing side up. Pin on my notch. And then that triangle should match a triangle that you marked before. And that circle, that edge of your there's, you know, the edge of your collar matches that circle that you marked on your shirt. So we're gonna match that. Make sure that you have that in the correct location. And then we're gonna fit, and then if you can find, your center back. Just if you, I know that we didn't mark it, if you can just fold your shirt and find your center back. Pin that. All these pieces should match, and it should fit. Tell me it does. Once you have it all pinned, we're going to, go back and we're gonna sew that in. We're gonna sew that, just baste that down. Okay. Oops, I skipped the front here. If you lost some of your markings since we've been ironing and everything, go back and put your markings back in. Okay. So I'm gonna sew this, and I'm gonna show you what my collar looks like. And that will be the end of up to step 17. Okay, so here's my collar. I have a little pucker there, but I'm going to work that out. I'm going to move my pins around and work that out. And then we're going to we'll look at that. All right. Okay, our collar is attached. Our collar is attached. So that puts us through to step number 17. And looking good, looking good. We're gonna put on our facing. So our next step, will be the facing. Okay, see you then, bye.